Morning, everyone. It is 11:30, so our Historical House City Design Review Advisory Committee meeting will be starting shortly. I'm going to give our committee members about another minute or so to join the meeting before we get started, since we are still missing a number of our committee members. A little bit more time, and then I'll get started with our rules and procedures. Okay, well, I'll get started. Thank you for joining us. This is our Historical House City Design Review Advisory Committee meeting. Get started with our rules and procedures. We will have more committee members join as we go through these. So this virtual meeting regulations and procedures. Actions during the meeting will be taken by roll call vote. Recusal due to a conflict of interest should be stated for the record prior to the start of any presentation. An recused committee member will then leave the meeting for the duration of the case discussion. Chair will call the meeting to order and ask for a roll call of the committee. Administrator will introduce the first project. The meeting will then be turned over to the applicant to proceed through their presentation. Each presentation should be completed prior to questions and comments from the committee. Once the presentation has concluded, the administrator will provide background information and will read any received public comment if applicable. Committee will then begin deliberations and project review. Please use the raise hand feature. After deliberations and review concludes, the committee will render its recommendation and or motion, and the applicant may leave the meeting after their project review is complete. All projects will follow the same format until they've all been heard by the committee. And once all projects are heard, the chair will call for any committee or administrator reports. And after all reports have been heard, the chair will adjourn the meeting. We do welcome community comments, and any and all community members may provide their written comments, thoughts, or questions regarding projects presented to the committee. Community members may also telephone their comments or questions to the committee administrator. All comments, thoughts, or questions must be submitted to the committee administrator no later than 48 hours before the start of the meeting. They can be submitted by email, phone, or in person at City Hall. Public comment received after the deadline will not be heard by the committee, and public comment is collected by Landmark staff and sent to committee members for review prior to the scheduled meeting. Landmark staff will then summarize any received comments. The applicant of the project is under no obligation to answer any community questions, and community members are invited to attend our design review advisory committee meetings, but there is no open public comment period. All projects are being reviewed using the Secretary of the Interior standards for rehabilitation and are being considered for the issuance of a certificate of appropriateness. All projects are considered on a case-by-case basis, and presentations are received and distributed to committee members for review prior to the scheduled meeting. Changes to those presentations after confirmation of receipt by Landmark staff are not shown. The Historical House City Design Review Advisory Committee makes recommendations to the Cleveland Landmarks Commission. These recommendations are not final actions, and depending on the scope of the project, submissions may be then approved administratively or will need to be reviewed by the Cleveland Landmarks Commission. And if so, they would be scheduled for the next available commission meeting after an action is taken. If there are any questions about the Secretary of the Interior standards for rehabilitation that we use when reviewing projects, I do have those available on the slide and can bring them up at any time. So I will move it over to our chair to call the meeting to order before I get started with the roll call.
Thanks, Jessica. Calling today's Historic Ohio City Design Review Advisory Committee meeting to order. Please call the roll.
Ms. Anderson?
Here.
Ms. Flaherty? Mr. Frondorf? Ms. Land?
Here.
Mr. Miller? Mr. Persons?
Here.
Mr. Trevisano? And Ms. Marinucci?
Here.
Looks like we are one out from quorum, but we can definitely get started with our projects. The first project we have on our agenda today is case HWC 23-24 or 64. Sorry, this is a project from 2003 at 4304 Franklin Boulevard in the Ohio City Historic District. Schematic review was completed back in December of 2023. And this is for an addition, and so they're coming back for final review for that project. I believe we've got Jack Klein here. So Jack, I've got the slides available, and just let me know when you want me to move forward.
I will do that. I'm also with my wife, Kim Yauk. Yeah, since we've last been in front of you guys, a few things have happened. Obviously, we've moved into the home and finished all the interior renovations. In this meeting, I'd kind of like to have a twofold approach. We're going to address the addition, but also in the mix of this, we're going to be doing a new roof and repainting the house and doing some other just exterior renovations. So I wanted to briefly talk about those also. So go to the next slide. Next one. We're all familiar with where it is. Keep going. Just a site plan. Obviously, we had a few challenges because our lot tapers skinnier in the rear. You can go to the next slide. Just a better picture of the taper. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. This is the front of our house. I'll talk briefly about the existing condition, and this has more to do with the things we're doing to our existing house. We are putting a new roof on it, changing the colors and repainting it. The siding is all hardy siding, so it's all in pretty good shape. The upper, the front of it has a shake shingle, which we're going to 100% retain. There's a few shakes on the top that'll need to be replaced, but we'll replace them with the same exact shake. The two large front windows on the front porch are original. They are going to be kept original. They're just right now they have actually like plexiglass from since we moved in, so we're going to have real glass reglazed and refurbish those existing windows. So that talks about most of the renovations we're going to be doing to the front. We'll keep trucking forward here and talk a little bit about paint colors and a few other things.
Next slide.
Next slide. And next slide. That's just a angled view looking down the left side. Next side. That's the rear. That'll have more to do with the addition we're putting on. Next slide. This one will relate to the addition. The addition will butt up to this Vagancourt alley, but I'm sure you guys saw that. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. Just the view on Vagancourt alley going both ways. You can notice that the Franklin Castle's carriage house is butted right up to the alley, so it's pretty tight there. And we also have a new development behind us with that's being built up fairly close to the alley too. Next slide. And this slide is shows some of the details and our first take on some ideas about colors. Would also love to hear some input about not only the colors but the accents of where the colors are, because we've been struggling like that. You can see on this picture, we were kind of exploring making those corbels. The corbels under the second story windows are black, but then we tried different versions with other corbels black, and we were pretty happy with this, but we struggle a little bit with where the accent colors go. One of the big things we really struggle with, and we don't need to go back to the front picture, but that brick is fairly interesting. It's like red. It has been retuck pointed in white, and I'm not crazy about the way the brick looks now, but in this version, if we have black as an accent, I think that helps tone down the irregularity of the red brick and grout joints. You can go to the next slide for kind of our other. This is another color combination that we are strongly favoring, I would say, right? Yeah, this is probably our favorite one. We did pick historic period correct colors. Like I said, we tried making those gables black. We tried a bunch of other variations of this color, but this is the one we thought was closest to presentable. You can kind of see I think there's some more opportunity in the arches that are underneath, that are held up by there's little triangular arches that are held up by the columns and a few different things there. So that gives you an idea of what we're thinking about for colors and a new roof and rejuvenating those windows. So we'll keep moving forward to keep moving forward. Now this slide talks about the last time we saw you, we were fairly confident that since our lot gets so skinny in the rear, we were fairly confident we were going to be able to negotiate a deal with the neighbor to purchase that dotted line square, extending our structure over there. That is not going to be a possibility, so we've since had to redesign our structure to fit on our property. You can go to the next slide. This shows our new site plan showing our footprint. We've taken it off of the neighbor's property, but in order to fit at least a 2-car garage, we are going to right to our back property line, and that may need a variance to do that. But that's the only way we could supply 2 cars of parking, and we've got a family of 6 with 4 drivers now and 5 drivers coming down the road. So that's one of our main concerns in this is providing parking and providing enough of a space behind that we could flex use it as an in-law suite or an in-law suite and office. So you can keep going to the next slide. This gives you an idea of our basement in our front house is actually the same level as the rear alley. So you can see our existing house in the front and area in the back. What we did to push it's really tough to live on an alley and be backing out and be forced right into your garage. So what we did is we pushed the 2nd story living space out over and created a partially covered area so that we could at least pull in without pulling into the garage and unload stuff, wash your car, whatnot. Next slide. This is the floor above that area, and it shows our existing house and a courtyard in between. We really struggled because we wanted more square feet to have an office and an in-law suite in this area and have a flex space. But with it wider, it was fine. But coming skinnier, we looked at doing 2 stories of living space, but it just became very massive, and it became darn near the height of our house. And we thought it was too massive. And out of our top floor in the rear, we get lake views. So we kind of sacrificed some living space, but kept it only as 1 story above the garage. Next slide. I don't really know what this slide represents, so keep going. This gives you an idea of the existing house and how it marries to the addition. You can see that the 2nd floor over that does come out over. Shows the courtyard in there and a few other details. Next slide. This is a rear view. One of the things that was important to us is we not only wanted a garage door in the rear, but we also wanted a man door back there. You know, if it's winter or something, if you just want to go in or out, you don't really want to open up your whole garage. So that was partially the need to go right to the property line, is to fit a 2-car garage door and a man door. Next slide. Just a cross section showing the living space inside, basement area, garage area. Next slide. Aerial view looking down into the courtyard. We were planning on using a board and batten siding on that structure, and we were in between either matching the color of the house or the trim of the house, the body color of the house or the trim. So we're still open to both of those ideas. Next slide. That's probably a better view. One of the things we really wanted to do is we did not want to crowd the alley like unfortunately the Castle carriage house does, and we're at least able to have some outside space to wash cars, do whatever, pull in. Next slide. That's a view looking down the one side. By not doing that second story, it really pulls down the second story above the first floor living space. It kind of tones down the massing there. And most of that building on the left side is covered by the carriage house. We are 5 feet off that property line, but we're only about 10 feet away. Next slide. That's a version of the teal color we like, with the back house as the accent color, kind of leaning towards making it the same color, but open to making it a little bit different. It does have a different type of siding. We're not trying to copy the exact color necessarily or architecture of the front, but we certainly want to complement it. Next slide. This is just some other examples I took of coming down Vine Court. Some of the comments from the last time I understood and appreciated. Other ones I had a hard time understanding. Somebody had mentioned I should be closer to the alley, which is just very counterintuitive to what these alleys, what I think it should be. These alleys I've had 4 or 5 properties on Vine Court, and what these alleys aren't just alleys anymore. They have guest houses, they have back houses. They're turning into more livable streets. So I truthfully believe backing that structure off the alley and having it have some depth with the garage creates some interest that it's not a row of loaded garage doors and garbage cans. So I think that's about it. I think the rest of the slides you can go, that's just, the point of this right now is that we have a deck, we have a temporary deck here right now, which is fine for temporary, but it is a little bit strange right now because perched up here, anytime the Franklin Castle has an event or anything, we feel pretty strange sitting on our deck there because we're staring at them and they're staring at us. Once we have our courtyard and connecting way, our focus will be into the courtyard, giving them a little more privacy and us a little more privacy. They tend to, at different times, they have quite a few events in the backyard, which is not a problem, but makes it kind of tough for us because we're like, well, you don't really feel like going back on the back deck because you feel like you're on a stage. And I think that's about it, but open to input and questions.
Thank you, Jack. Jessica, for a point of clarification, are we reviewing this as a schematic, or are we reviewing it for final?
My understanding, and Jack, correct me if I'm wrong, is that you're coming for final? Or are you coming for more feedback?
Nope. The way I would look at it is I'm coming for final on the addition. I'm certainly open to feedback, and I'm sure Landmarks and other people will want to talk about what we're doing to our existing house and colors. So I would view that as whatever you guys want to is on the existing house roof and color and things like that. But we're excited to get this thing started, and we've been through 3 or 4 iterations that I chose not to share with you just to keep this brief. We had 2-story additions. We had 4 or 5 different layouts, and we've been working on that quite a bit. So we'd certainly like to close that out so we could get moving on this addition. Whatever you want to do on the existing house, I understand.
Okay, thank you. I wanted to ask for clarification on the materiality on the back on the addition.
Mm-hmm.
What is, I see that's labeled as split face block wall finish for like that foundation extension. Is that meant to be painted, or is it just how it's rendering?
No, but it is gonna be in a color, either a dark, probably a darker gray. There's not that many colors you can get. You either get a lighter gray or a darker gray. I don't think an earth tone really fits the bill. Our existing foundation in our house right now is obviously an old granite stone foundation that looks pretty dark gray and black. So I kind of thought to stay as close to the color of that as I could, although not a lot of it is seen though. I mean, nothing's seen from the left side at all. You do see it from the back.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
And the board and batten is hardy board and batten. So that pretty much sums that up.
Okay. Okay, I think, and thank you for the presentation. Thank you for, I know the work you guys have put into it. I
You
think,
might be able to go back to the rendering slide just for discussion. There you go.
this is a good one. I think where I'm falling at the moment is I don't mind, I should say, in terms of appropriateness in relation to your existing house, I don't mind what you're proposing from this angle in terms of the garage pushback a bit, kind of like I think you could go back and forth and argue garage up against the alley, garage pushback. I think there's enough of a mix that I would defer to what functions best for you guys. And I don't mind the more modern massing at this angle as well. Something that I think I'm struggling with is and I understand that your lot line angles and you're following that, but that portion to me feel like that element having an angle feels incongruent with the historic structure. I don't know. Again, I hear that you've had a bunch of iterations, so I don't know what also could have been explored. It's also a potential risk that you will not receive a variance for no setback on the east side. So I'm not sure. I struggle with that a bit, and I think, yeah, I'm struggling with the congruency there. And I think I would also, board and batten is, I would say, present in some of the historic structures. I think the kind of like stark modern approach might be check another little box of compatibility if you switched it to a lap siding. So from when I kind of view these things, we're looking at the Secretary of Interior's criteria and how a new construction or a new addition is supposed to relate to the historic. And one of the big ones is that it's distinguished as modern, which you certainly achieve, but I feel like it would be beneficial to, whether it's from massing or materiality, speak a little bit more in relation to the existing structure. So those are the two things that I would maybe see if straightening out that massing could work in some way, or consider just a typical lap siding. That's sort of, I think that's where I'm at with the current proposal. From a paint standpoint, I really enjoy the teal stencil option, and I actually really like how you've accented it. I think it looks great. I think it really helps pop the really beautiful features that you have in this house. I would defer to Margaret on painting that red brick. Typically, we don't want to see historic brick painted, but I think I would defer to her on that. So, but this color scheme in particular, I think is really nice.
Nia, you hit my my nail.
Oh.
That's I was going to say, I thought the massing and the form of the addition is very nice in terms of modern addition to the historic. I agree that I think the lap siding would be like a good reference back to the historic house. Because the house has so many craftsman details, historically, craftsman paint really looked to earth and the land and nature for its color concepts. So while the teal is a little bit brighter, I also agree. I think that's preferable. But really, color is your choice. Paint can be redone. But paint on brick cannot be redone. And so if the brick and the sandstone masonry are unpainted currently, I think that it is, I feel very strongly that should remain as is. The white mortar you mentioned, if you're not, I don't know if you owned the house when that repointing was done, but if you're not okay, so that could be also like just the completely wrong mortar. And I think it might be better to just address that feature, have that redone so that you know the mortar is the correct type, soft enough for the historic brick. And then that could obviously improve its appearance and prolong its life.
Jack, do you
I
want
don't. Yeah, as far as that front brick, it's not just the mortar that we have an issue with. We have an issue with trying to design our whole house around this red brick feature that I'm not at all convinced is anywhere in fitting to an 1890s house with that pattern.
Yeah, I agree that it was
I
later
believe
addition.
it is. I don't want to design the whole front of our house around somebody who came. I understand that things are older or still considered historic, but I don't want to pick my colors and design my house around the only feature that we've despised about our house from day one. We're like, why would somebody put this 60s, 70s Art Deco diamond nonsense on the front of the house? I'm trying to tone that down, still respect that somebody screwed it up, but I want to tone it down. And by doing that, if you go back to the thing, by making it a dark gray or a black, it doesn't draw your eye to that. Can I retouch?
Yeah, I would just be concerned that painting it would only accelerate any deterioration problems that might be happening or soon to be happening. So if you were, if you feel, which it sounds like you do very passionately about painting it, then please select an elastomeric paint that's breathable and meant for the masonry. And again, back to the sandstone, if you could leave that natural, just because of how much that absorbs in terms of water. I don't think any paint for that would help you in any way in terms of your long-term maintenance. So.
Right. If we do that, we're just going to make sure it's tuck pointed, solid, and prepped properly. And absolutely, we don't want our paint peeling off. And this isn't exactly
because you don't want to hide. Yeah.
Right. We don't want to start. So and then back to. Can we go back? And it's a little difficult, but I don't want to come to you guys 3-4 times to try to do both these. But can we go back to the addition again? Go back to the up one. Go back to the site plan. Or that plan. Now, when you said angled, I think you said something about an angled something. There's nothing angled. There's no angle. Maybe the rendering might have made it look like something was angled, but that is a square. The only angle is on the Franklin Castle side. Those lines are all drawn at 90 degrees to the house. Is that? I'm not sure I understood what you meant when you said I'm not sure about the angled wall or the angled line.
That is what I'm referring to.
Well, okay, but it's not angled. It's straight back. And if you go to the front view of the house, one of those pictures, none of this, even that one, you can hardly see. Go to the actual pictures of the house. There's a picture straight on from the front of the house somewhere. Keep going. Like that's what you see from Franklin Boulevard. This, and we've now shrunk it back. The idea of shrinking, we have invested a lot of money, time, and we plan on staying here. We have a big family, and the idea of cutting off another 5 feet from our thing and taking this 4,800 square foot house, about to be 6,500 square foot house, to a 1-car garage is not going to happen. We really need that. We really need that width, and it won't be seen from the street. It's just not noticed. It's just not where your focus is.
No, I
But
can appreciate that. It seems, I think you could rectify it and your plan would still work without having the line follow the sight line.
oh, the line does not follow the sight line.
It does. Doesn't the west side of the
No,
house
zoom
follow the sight
zoom in
line?
on the site plan. Which side are you referring to?
The west side follows
Oh, the
the sight
west
line, does it not?
side. Oh, yeah, but
Like the
that
parcel
is
line?
yes, but can you go to the Google overview? Do I have a Google shot from the top? I thought I did. There. That sight line, the fence goes all the way up. That sight line is not seen in any way, shape, or form because I'm 5 foot off of that property line, and that whole carriage house is like right there. So you cannot really see that. And if you could go to my floor plan really quick, please, of the addition. Up one. Down one. I'm sorry. So many slides. Down one more. So you could see what happens here. If you look towards the courtyard, we have a connecting walkway that goes from our existing house to the rear. We pulled this 5 feet off the property line, but we still need to get out of our house and down to the garage right there. And we need to be able to walk by those stairs. And we don't want to shrink our courtyard anymore. We already decided not. We would love to push our courtyard up to the property line too, so it was bigger, but we respected the fact that our existing house was there and we didn't want any conflict or anything you could see from Franklin. So, along this way, we've been giving up things we knew were the right thing to do, but it's a tight thing there. We have our courtyard is our main exterior feature, and we do not want to shrink that anymore, and we still need to be able to get from the front of the back of our house and down to the basement from that juncture. So that's why that thing is straight, and that's about 7 or 8 feet. So that would basically only leave like 7 or 8 feet in our courtyard for livable space. So that's how we got pinched that way. And that's why we're following the property line. Just so you know, we're following 5 feet off of the property line also.
No, I understand. I understand and can appreciate that it's not it's not something that is going to be very
Seen
well
at all.
seen. I still feel that it would be more congruent to the existing house and to the context of the neighborhood if that hallway element was just just a rectangle, and that the garage was just a rectangle. I think it would benefit.
Correct.
From my eye, I don't know why it wouldn't be able to do that. I don't think you have to change the courtyard width, but that's just how I am seeing it.
Because we don't own that property, because we're 5. Can you go back
I'm talking about the west side. I'm not talking about the plan south, right? I'm not talking about the other
right
side.
there.
Yeah.
Right. If we came straight back from that corner
Mhm.
of the house, we would lose 8 feet of our courtyard because go to the second floor has a connecting walkway. So that's about 8 feet from this whole diagonal line. If we move 8 feet, that takes 8 feet of our 16-foot courtyard.
I'm not sure where the 8 foot is coming from. I'm just saying you could just take that corner and meet the corner of your house and make that hallway a rectangle instead of I don't even know, trapezoid, whatever the.
I guess I'd have to. I can't do that I can't move the east wall, and if I go straight off the back left corner of that structure, I lose 8 feet, 6 or 8 feet because I still need a connection.
Well, let me see if I can jump in here and try communicating a different way, because I hear what Nia is saying, and I share a little bit of the same sentiment, but I think a little bit of a different nuanced version of it. So where the stairwell going up from the addition to meet the finished floor, in the page bottom here, where there's a outside corner at the high side of that stair meets the basement plane of the existing house, there's about a 2 foot outside corner at the return side of where old house meets new addition. If that were to flush out, and so you didn't have an outside corner, I think to me that's what Nia's talking about. I have a little bit more of a nuanced opinion where I don't necessarily mind that outside corner, but I think you need, call it a relief joint in the addition to the old house, where it's a material change, whether you use the dark iron ore accent to introduce, whether like a 3 foot wide, call it a ribbon between the addition and the old house to kind of break the old with the new, so that you don't necessarily have to be derivative of one to the other, but there's an acknowledgement that what you're building on is different from what's already been there. To me, that solves some of these problems, where I could see this pulling 2 or 3 feet away from the old house where that outside corner exists, and then you just have a band of a different material, so that you get that kind of compositional relief. And that also, to me, would allow you, where you do that on the opposite side, on the courtyard side, to introduce maybe a connection to grade from the courtyard, where right now you're not at all touching grade there, and maybe that's intentional, and that's fine. It's kind of, to me, that's preference, but it seems to me like you want to have some sort of connection from that elevated courtyard to get down to your property grade, and doing that kind of 2-3 foot wide relief joint in the structure lets you do that. And Nia, let me know if that's kind of communicating what you're thinking in some way.
Yeah, I think that that's in the same line of thought, and also using it as a relief joint, I think would really be beneficial. I really appreciate that language, Chris. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, and to me, that also, like, I don't mind the board and bat, and I agree with some things that Margaret and Nia have said, but also using that relief joint, just playing in that 3 foot band of width and plan, to me also allows you some of that more material freedom to, hey, it's different. I know it's different. It doesn't have to necessarily draw a direct correlation to the existing material palette, because you're separating two parts from each other, so they don't have to be, so directly connected.
Now, let me make sure I understand. What are you calling the relief joint? Where it connects to the house, like I mean, are you saying make the back structure start it 3 feet away from the? I'm not following.
No, so think of it almost like
a relief joint between the structures.
Yeah, it's kind of like an architectural gesture. So it's just kind of creating a little bit of maybe shadow. So you might just a little bit of pushing the wall inward in plan, so that you get some little bit of shadow there for 2-3 feet in width, and introducing the accent material in plan, and then you kind of carry that through, so that it looks as if they're the buildings were 3 feet apart, but they're still physically connected. It kind of creates the evocation that they're disconnected, but they're still very much the same building.
So are you talking about, instead of having that piece come down, it has to go where the existing door is already in my house? See that existing single door? That's already installed, as are the sliding doors.
No, not at all. Not what I'm talking about at all. Much simpler is what I'm talking about. So where the cursor is right now on screen,
Okay.
basically, if you move to the outside corner of that addition, if you were to draw a straight line left, maybe 2-3 feet,
Gotcha.
and then draw it straight up to where the existing building outside corner is, and basically cut a notch out of the existing proposed addition. Yeah, basically the size of the hand on the screen, and create just a little bit of kind of,
I got you. Almost. Gotcha.
like a pocket,
Okay.
In that pocket is where you introduce that darker accent material, and that kind of helps the buildings breathe a little bit.
I understand that, and I appreciate all that. I wish you guys could see right this corner we're talking about, are where we have two condensers. And and there's a 7-foot fence next to it. It's just some place nobody will ever go, but we will. I have no problem doing a relief, but the real world of that corner is where our condensers are, and you can't. The bay. If you go back to the property line, can you go back to the site plan real quick? I know we're pushed on time, and I don't see. If you look down that side, that bay is touching the property line, as is the other corner, which is right where that fence is. We are in just you cannot see anything back there because of there's a 6-foot fence and there's two ACs back there, and I'll be happy to soften that, and I'm open to all kinds of ideas. But the truth of it is the reality of this is you can't get in there to see it, and you can't see it from the street because of the turret on the castle and the bay on my house. It's a no man's land back there. But I'm open to ideas other than shrinking my courtyard.
Yeah, I mean,
Just
to me, this is just basically a minimal kind of gesture just to create the the implication that they're obviously two different time periods that they were constructed, so that down the road, somebody in the Franklin, God forbid, the Franklin Castle goes away, right, and there is more visibility to this piece of the property, somebody will be able to say like, oh, this period is from 2025, and this period is from 100 years prior. Kind of that's the thought process.
What color do you like, Christopher? What's your vote?
Well, for the overall color scheme, I agree with Margaret and Nia, 100%.
The teal.
Oh, I'm so glad that she acts like she wants to talk about color. Let's not think about talking about. She won't talk to colors about me, but she wants to talk to you, Christopher.
I'm keeping a tally of the votes.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, Jack, I think it's just, I actually sent a little sketch to Jessica that she'll forward to you.
Okay.
I had a like different little tweak than Chris described, but I don't think either of us are wanting any space taken away from the courtyard at all. It's really just adjusting the massing very slightly. And it's Chris is right. Like, God forbid anything ever happened to Franklin. I hope we never, ever get to see this side of the house, but our onus on this board is still to like uphold those standards. And that's just our general opinion. And I think Landmarks might have a different one. So that's just and I'm trying to think, who else have we not heard from on the committee yet?
I apologize, Nia. I misunderstood you. I thought you were talking about going all the way back to the very back of the structure and then coming horizontal. That's why I'm like, no.
No, I just was wanting like a little like.
Oh yeah, that's no problem.
Okay. Whitney is on. Whitney, do you have anything to add to the conversation?
I do not feel as strongly as those of you who have spoken, so I'm happy to defer comments to you, and whenever a motion is made, if there's a condition or something, I think that's fine, to allow for that transition point to be appropriate to whatever you feel.
Okay, thank you. I am not able to make the motion.
So do we have an issue with quorum to making motions, Jessica?
Yes, so we don't have quorum, and so all of your comments will be relayed to Landmarks at their next meeting. If there's any particular items that you'd like me to make sure that I add in there, I definitely can. I've got the conversation that we had about straightening lines, that relief joint where it connects, or like pocket where it connects to the historic building, and then also making sure breathable paint on the front, preference for that teal option, and some comments, differing opinions on the board and batten option, and how the building can relate to historic versus it is a clearly modern addition. Happy to add any other comments, but
None for me.
No, thank you.
for Jack. I will follow up with notes from this meeting either today or tomorrow. And next steps, presumably next step would be presenting the Landmarks Commission, which would be at their next meeting, which is next Thursday. So I'll put all of that in the email.
Great. I appreciate all your time and your input.
Thanks,
Thank you.
y'all.
Thank you.
Next up, we have case HRC 25-42, which is 4211 Lorraine Avenue, and this is for signage. We'll note, I do believe this signage package is utilizing the storefront renovation program. Then I believe, who do we have for this project? Greg? Oh, there's two Gregs. Do you have any representatives here from Soho Chicken and Whiskey for their signage? Feel free to unmute yourself and tell us about your project.
Hi, this is Greg. I was having a little trouble with the microphone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. So hello, everyone. I'm Greg DiNicola. I am the design specialist for the city's storefront renovation program. I'm here to present a signage project for Soho Chicken and Whiskey. You can go to the next slide, please. Soho is relocating from West 25th Street to 42nd and Lorraine in Lorraine Avenue Historic District. Next slide. Just some context slides. Site plan. It's in the Friedrich Building, the former location of the Noodle Bar. I'm sure you're all familiar with it. Next slide, please. Here is the existing building. You can see the context. Like I said, the historic Friedrich Building at 4211 Lorraine. The design intent is to propose a new projecting sign in the same location and configuration as the Shinji sign was. So next slide, please. So what we are proposing is an internally illuminated, double-sided projecting sign. It's roughly 3.5 feet square. It's of the same scale and size as the Shinji sign. Next slide. What is unique about this sign, though, is that instead of an opaque face panel, we're proposing to use a translucent polycarbonate material. It's called Polygal. And polycarbonate is really just a fancy word for plastic, but it's an extremely durable material that replicates the look of textured glass. So in this detailed view, you can see the size and mounting details for the sign. The intent is to through-bolt the sign to the existing building using the same mounting locations as the Shinji sign. We'll core through the mortar joints to avoid damaging the brick. The electrical conduit will be run from the existing light fixture that's right below the sign. And that'll be painted to match the brick, just like the Shinji sign was installed. So in designing this, Nolan and I had some emails and concerns about the polycarbonate material and the translucency. We were concerned about legibility and just the durability of the material. So Signature Sign, who's doing the sign, did a mock-up, which you can see at the bottom left-hand corner. And after seeing the mock-up, personally, any reservations I had about legibility evaporated. I think it's a very unique and creative effect without sacrificing the legibility of the sign. And in terms of durability, one of my concerns was polycarbonate tends to yellow over time. And what Signature Sign has come back with is they did a lot of research, and that's really no longer an issue, and that this material is used all over the place. It's used a lot in Florida for hurricane protection, and it has a 15-year warranty on the color. So my two design reservations have been appeased, and I'm really excited about this design and this signage panel. We go to the next slide. Like I said, it'll be mounted in the same location as the Shinji sign. It'll be over 10 feet off the street. It'll meet code. There's no obstruction. Next panel, or next slide, please. And then finally, in addition to the projecting sign, we're also proposing some hand-painted window signage. It'll be gold leaf and that burgundy magenta color that is part of Soho's theming. And it'll be done by Old Soul Sign Company, who's done other hand-painted signs in the neighborhood. Ohio City Provisions is across the street. That's an example of their work. Nolan, did you have anything you wanted to add to all of this?
I think that was a pretty concise description, Greg. Happy to answer any questions anyone has, though.
Okay, thank you. We'll turn it back over to you guys.
Thank you. And apologies if I missed this. How high is the signage for the, okay, great, thank you. Definitely
It'll be about 11.5 feet or more off the sidewalk.
Okay, is there currently a blade sign on the building?
There was.
Yeah, go
we
ahead,
removed
Nolan.
it already, though. The previous tenants took it with them, but there was one in the exact same spot.
Same spot. Okay, great.
Yep.
This looks great for me. We always just ask to specify that the connections from the blade sign into the historic brick are in a mortar joint rather than the brick itself. Just
Yep, and that's our intent.
included. Great.
The existing holes from the old sign have just been mortared over. Our thinking is we're just going to re-drill those exact same holes and mount it the exact same way.
Sounds good.
Only question I have is because this is translucent on both sides, where are you putting the lights inside of this so that you're not getting glare from the street?
So the sign cabinet will be made from aluminum tube, and there will be an LED rope light that is attached to the perimeter on the inside perimeter of that metal box, essentially. And that LED rope light has a translucent coating, so you don't see bulbs. That was another concern I had, which is why we did the mock-up. So the whole LED rope has essentially a translucent frosted
Continuous frosted lines on it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's the only question I had. Otherwise, looks great.
Jessica, typically Landmarks does not have to see a storefront project if we approve it. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah. So in this case, without quorum, if
quorum.
you have overwhelming support for it, I'll relay that to Dan to work with storefront and see if that works. So usually they want an official note from Landmark's office about the approval, and so I'll work with Dan and storefront to see if they want something official from Landmark's commission or if the approval from this body, even without quorum, is enough. So for the support from this committee.
Well, unless Margaret or Whitney has dissenting comments.
No, I think it's lovely and appreciate all of the questions regarding long-term wear. I was going to suggest, is it possible to take sort of an unofficial vote just to have that information moving forward, even if it's not under quorum? If that's
like,
helpful.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we've heard
I'd be
support
happy to
from-
support it.
Yeah, absolutely support this.
Okay.
Yes.
So we we have support from all members present. So awesome. So Greg and Nolan, I'll be in touch via email with a follow-up for next steps, and we'll go from there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much for your time. Much appreciated.
Thanks. Then we've got our final project, which is case HOC, sorry, 25-43, which is 4614 Franklin Boulevard, and this is an addition that we've got, and we have John here to talk about the project. So feel free to get started, and I'll move the slides along as needed.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Sometimes having trouble with my light here. All right. My name is John Rakowskis, architect, and I'm representing Hassan Hussein, or Hassan Siddiqui, I'm sorry. They bought the building in 2024. And I actually had worked with the previous owner way back in 2016, just getting started in the project. And it never really went anywhere. We actually did a front porch restoration that I believe went to Landmarks. I'm trying to find my records of it, and we will resubmit that soon, but it's not shown as any part of this project that we're doing now. You can see the red dot there, the location. It's right in the Franklin part of the Franklin part of the historic district. Move along to the next slide. This again shows it in the exact position of the landmarks map. Next. This is some of the environment. The upper left, that's the building. There will be a front porch that was originally with the building. We actually ended up getting photographs, historic photographs from landmarks back in 2016. So you'll see that soon. The other photographs are across the street, upper right, lower left. The lower right is showing kind of the past. Next. These are photographs showing the context where our addition will take place. In the upper left, you can see that there was a sort of a, I'll call it a shack. It was built in that corner, the one-story element, and that's not even brick. You can see the upper right is showing kind of a magnified view of what you see from Franklin. Stepping back a little bit on the lower right, you see the sort of the backyard. Way next to the right side of that large tree, that's actually a garage shell, so to speak, that's still there. We tend to eventually have a garage that would be on the alley where that one was not. And so that's just hold that thought. That's coming in the future. Then the lower left shows the building to the east next to our building. You can see the brick facade, basically, with the stone base. Next, I'm including these just because I thought it would be of interest. This is the since this is really, except for the addition, it's an interior restoration. The upper left shows the basically the parlor that's on the first floor with the has the most detail. It's plaster cornice that needs to be partially replaced. And then the other three photographs show this sort of grand stairway that's you have to build it in front. Next slide. See the upper part of the stairway. Upper right, and you can see a stairway that's going to the third floor in the upper left. It's in the background, photograph in the upper right, and then it's sort of a master bedroom. What's there right now is on the lower left. Most of the walls are all stripped at this point, with just the glass showing. So next, this is the site plan. Shows where the addition is that we're planning. Again, existing garage and package. We're not doing really any site work at all. This is really just interior alteration and addition. Permit package. Next. This is the basement plan. I don't know whether included in the package that you received included my scope of project letter. Got that? See what I'm explaining now. Right now, there's no way to get into the basement except from the outside. Steps going down in the back corner. So this addition is going to solve a couple of problems. First of all, it's going to allow the basement to be accessed from the inside. And it's also going to provide rear entrance that eventually come from the garage or from the backyard. And so you can see that next to the house, that's the stairway that's both going down. That door into the basement is an existing location. And the stair goes upstairs. The other area under what is going to be the solarium is basically at grade and high enough that we're going to call it outdoor storage. Pair of doors. So, next slide. This is the first floor plan. You can see the arrangement of the house. Basically, we're reworking the bathroom on this floor, kitchen, which is in its present location. One of the very interesting things is that the stairway that you see in the middle, close to the kitchen, this stairway was pretty much completely hidden when the owner bought the building, and he had to do a lot of ripping apart to see that it's existing. We're going to restore it. It's a way to get from the back of the building with our new entrance up without having to go all the way to the front of the grand stairway. So that really turned out to be a happy find. You can see the solarium with basement windows, which is going to be it's going to be basically an exposed structure. Go to the next slide. See, this is sort of a combination. This is the second floor. You can see where you come up from that stairway. On the back bedroom. And again, this is going to be a big master bedroom suite that we're creating. We're showing skylights. The roof was a little bit of a, went through several iterations. Showing skylights, I've been saying that they're tentative. The owner really wants them to maybe doing the outside one rather than all shown. Again, this is the structure, basically Italian group decking, framing members, available insulation above the structural deck. Next slide. This is the third floor plan, which I'm doing. We're really not doing anything on the third floor. It's really essentially, except for the fact that we said HVAC units up here service the second floor. Next slide. This is the west elevation showing solarium relationship to what's existing. The roof, which we struggle to fit in, to raise up those two windows in order to get the height we need to have a meaningful roof profile. You can see the base is matching the height. The floor line would be matching the height of the first floor. The existing stone base, we are going to make split base, which is going to maintain coursing with a little trickery, and the access the doors to the storage. Yeah, these are all basement windows. Roof will color material. Next slide. This is the north elevation showing the entrance that we lead down to the basement or up or the upstairs. Basically, it's a split base. Actually, this is not the latest. The base is actually going to continue all the way up to the door and beyond the door. There will still be some siding. I have a rendering. We'll see in a minute that shows the correct location. There'll be a little bit of siding there, just the existing siding table. This next slide. This is the rendering, shows the correct position, location of the base, so colors. Trim will all be aesthetic, exactly similar. Couple of outdoor lights, there in the light shown above the corner, light at the back door. Next slide. This shows colors. Lower left, that's the stone. Split base. The trim, siding colors, which are kind of to match the existing siding colors. The roof, that we photographed the existing roof. That's a detail on the windows. That particular information about windows is for Pella Reserve, which is historic. We are probably not going to go with that. We're going to go with contemporary, which I believe, considering this is a new addition, this is not, the windows are not on the existing building. So we can save ourselves a lot, but still a wood interior and clad exterior. Color is stone beam to the right of that is going to be off-white, which kind of matches the existing windows. The existing windows are maybe unfortunately, but they're replacement windows that put up at some point. They're vinyl replacement throughout. It's a given. They're in good shape. Just slightly they come. I believe that's it. I guess that's it. Any questions?
Thank you. Jessica, can you go back to the exterior elevations, please? Or that's great. Jen, can you just clarify, is the pinkish color on here one of the proposed paint colors, or is it just how the rendering is appearing?
I think it's the way that it's really you know, the colors don't appear too well on the screen for one thing. It's really kind of a premium color. It's to match the existing color. The trim is on the building. We're not changing the color of the existing building. It's matching.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I think this is very sensitive and seems to make a lot of sense from a function standpoint. I've been in this house many times, so I understand the basement access conundrum. I think maybe my only minor comment is like from this angle, you see that little tiny portion that has lap siding, and maybe just consider taking like a paneled approach at that area since it's just such a small area. It doesn't really relate to the addition itself too much, but I would say that's a very minor comment that I'm not very passionate about.
I like that. I think we can consider that.
I appreciate the quality materials that were selected for the addition. And then again, I just wanted to confirm that the stone on the historic structure is not being painted.
Oh, no.
Okay.
We probably will clean that and certainly get a tuck point, the brick. We have it settled on it. Get the attention. Clean up. Certainly not paint.
I'm having a little trouble hearing, but I think you said the intention not to paint.
That's
We're
right.
not going to that.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Yeah, I have Greg Workman representing the owner who is on the call here. He just reiterated that we're not paying. The rendering does not show any skylights. The owner would really kind of wants us to get those skylights in there. We can, at least some of them. But with the structure that we ended up with, it's a little tricky. Skylights are a little more problematic than they would be otherwise.
Never met a skylight that didn't leak.
Pardon?
We know.
I never met a skylight that didn't leak.
I don't know. I've got one in my house that hasn't leaked yet. It's been up for a few years already.
I think the skylight approach could be really lovely. I mean, if they want to do that, I kind of guessing that the vision is like that sort of more English garden citillarium. If that ends up working, I'm not opposed to skylights, especially as it is an addition, a modern addition. But Chris or Whitney, do you have any comments to add?
No, I think you touched on the siding piece, which was also something I was going to mention. The only thing I think maybe to be considered, which I've waffled on if it was even worth mentioning, is the lighting approach. Seems a bit off, doing two different finishes on those lights and even potentially the fixture selection on the area light and the positioning of that area light, I think warrants maybe a little bit further study, just to make sure that that's what you want, where you want it. I think that has some potential for light pollution into the solarium itself, and also, may want to be positioned a little bit better to make sure that it's actually lighting the area you want it to, based on the rendering. You've got more paving in the back area, so do you want to light the back paved area? Do you want to light the path? And is that the fixture and finish that you want for that specific use? So I think just taking a look at that might warrant a little bit better kind of overall piece. So
Noted.
Thanks, Chris. I actually had the same thought, but I thought the same thing wasn't worth mentioning. Whitney, anything?
No, I have nothing else to add. It was very thorough, and I feel like the feedback was very minor. So hopefully it's well received at Landmark since we can't vote.
Yep.
That's next Thursday,
Yeah, so
correct?
with a small addition like this, generally they don't go to landmarks, and so I'll work with Dan if the committee is, like the last project has support for this, relay the minor comments, and then work with Dan on seeing if it would need to go to landmarks or could be administratively done from here. So
That'd be great.
yeah, I'll follow up with an email either this afternoon or tomorrow about next steps. Otherwise, yeah, I've got the comments from the committee, and yeah, thanks for coming in or
Yeah.
presenting.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Whitney, I'm sorry, Jessica, do we have any staff reports?
We don't have any staff reports. Yeah, I don't have anything at the moment. That was our last project. The next meeting, if we have projects, will be in 2 weeks on the 2nd.
I have one quick question. Hadn't thought about it until we didn't meet quorum today, but since Phil left us, do we plan on replacing him just because that might help prevent a low attendance issue in the future?
Yes, yeah. So Dan is working on right now, because we have 2 quorums right now that the vice chairs have both left, and so we're working on getting new members, and then also we'll be reaching out to the chairs to get new vice chairs elected. But yes, yeah. If anybody has any suggestions for people who would want to be on the committee, definitely have them or email Dan and I, or have them email Dan and I with a resume, and we'll get them going.
I was going
Are
to
you-
ask that if we had,
Yeah.
if you're open to recommendations.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Are you generally looking for design professionals, community members, a mix? What is the void right now?
A mix of everything. Some of our committees, this committee, the Historic West Committee, Downtown Committee, all could use additional members. This one could use a new chair or a vice chair. Sorry, yeah, you're the chair.
Hey, you kicked me
and-
out?
No, 100% no. But
Okay.
but yeah, so, and I mean any of our committees. So community members, design professionals,
Okay.
business owners. I mean, anybody who's interested, really. It's a good way to act up or participate in the community process.
Sure.
Yep, that's great. I'll put thought to that.
But yeah,
Same.
and because our meetings are all at different times, we have some evening meetings, some morning meetings. This meeting and another one are at 11:30 during weekdays. If people are flexible at the time and the region that they're interested in, that's always helpful too.
Okay, I just saw in the chat that Greg Workman is interested. So please email your
Just
resume
email,
to
yes.
Jessica.
Is there a preference for people who live in the area? I guess with some of the members, I actually don't know if they're residents or not, so I don't know if you have a strong preference for that.
Yeah, so when we get resumes that come in, we look at where they live, where they work. If they predominantly work in one area, that's their general go-to. Or if they, we love having, design professionals that live in the actual historic districts. In some, we have design professionals that actually live like one street off, or their job is based in a historic district that they're working in. So we kind of look at where they live, if they work in a general area, and then they're available. So kind of see what they like. But yeah, definitely preferences. I mean, something we're really lucky with is we do have a lot of people that are in the preservation field or the design field, architecture field, city planning field that live in our historic districts in Cleveland. And so we're really thankfully have a lot of really qualified people for design review, I think.
Agreed.
Obviously, this committee is filled with a lot of very, very qualified people, as well as all our others. So
Awesome.
yet to find one that I'm questioning on. So
Well, thank you. With that, can we adjourn?
thanks,
Okay,
everybody.
call. Thank you.
All right, bye.
Bye.